Hello and welcome to the Guerilla Science Space Yoga series. My name is Gemma, and during these videos we'll be exploring the effects of space travel on the human body and mind through the practice of yoga. So if you're ready, let's take our bodies on a journey into space. In this video, we'll be exploring what happens to bodily fluids during space travel. The systems which regulate the human body have evolved to work perfectly with Earth's gravity. So if you go into space or go upside down, gravity works on the body in a different way, and this can have profound physiological effects. The human body is around 60% water, which is made up of a variety of different bodily fluids. On Earth, gravity pulls these fluids down, but in the microgravity of space, they start to redistribute in the upper body and chest. This means that astronauts suffer from puffy faces, from bulging blood vessels in their necks, and from sinus and nasal congestion. This can be simulated for scientific study through extended bed rest, where participants are confined to bed for 60 days on a slight downward tilt, so they have their head lower than their feet. Although remaining like this for an extended period of time can have many negative effects, going upside down for a short time, so inverting our relation to Earth's gravity, can have many benefits. In this episode, we'll be doing a few inverted postures to feel the effects of redistributing our bodily fluids. So we're going to begin by just warming up the body a little bit, coming into a downward dog position. As we begin to move the body, this will stimulate the circulation. So just come to a soft downward dog, bend each of your knees, drawing the belly in. And then we're just going to come into a little flow to start to get your heart pumping and your circulation moving. So from your downward dog, you're going to come forwards into a plank, drawing the belly in. Exhale down to chaturanga. Feel free here to drop the knees if you need to. Inhale to upward dog, shoulders away from the ears, tailbone pushing down. And exhale to downward dog. And again, inhale forwards to plank. Exhale down to chaturanga, elbows in tight. Inhale to upward dog, shoulders away from your ears. And exhale to downward dog. And again, we're just going to cycle through this a couple more times. So doing that with the rhythm of your breath. Feel free to drop your knees if you need to. Just moving through each of the postures. We'll really get the heart pumping and the muscles working. And then coming to rest in downward dog. Take a few breaths here. Relax the head, and then walk your feet forwards. Bring your hands to your hips on an exhale, and on an inhale, stand all the way up and come to mountain pose. Big toes together, heels slightly apart, body weight back, chest lifted, roll the shoulders down and back. So after we've done that little sequence, you may feel that your heart rate is a little bit elevated. As we stand here in this upright position, the heart has to work hard to bring the blood up from the legs to the upper body, and also to send blood up from the heart to the head. But it's not just blood that gravity works on. There's also a small amount of fluid in your inner ear, which helps you to balance. When we tilt our head from side to side, gravity causes this fluid to move over nerve endings and tell the brain which way is up and down. So let's come to a balancing posture. We'll do tree pose. Transfer the weight first of all into your right leg. Take the left leg up and step it to your inner thigh. Feel free to bring the leg a little bit lower here if that's more appropriate for you. And then bring your hands onto your hips, draw your belly in, keep the chest lifted, and draw the elbows back, standing in your tree pose. In the microgravity of space, the functioning of the inner ear fluid is disrupted. So, because there's no gravity to pull it down, the brain cannot tell which way is up and down. This means that astronauts suffer from confusion, dizziness and nausea for their first few weeks in space. They have to rely on visual cues to balance themselves. We can't take away gravity working on our inner ear fluids, but we can take away their visual cues. So while we're balancing here, you can have a go at just closing your eyes and feel how it becomes much more difficult to balance. This is a bit like how astronauts feel in space, except they have their eyes open. It's because microgravity is disrupting the workings of their inner ear fluids that causes the unsteady sensation for them. So then with control, let's just bring the left leg down. Take a moment here and then just transfer the weight onto the left leg and lift now your right leg up into tree pose. Hands on hips, draw the belly in, lift the chest and bring the elbows back. So again, feel free to have a go at closing your eyes here if you like and seeing if you can maintain the balance with the eyes closed. If you've ever felt a little bit dizzy after a boat trip or a fairground ride, then you know how astronauts feel. The visual cues are there to tell you that you're no longer moving, but the functioning of the inner ear fluids has been disrupted by the strange motion. So just remaining here in tree posture for a couple more breaths, really grounding down through the ball of the big toe joint. Have another go at closing your eyes if you like. And then with control, bring that leg down and return to mountain pose. Lift up through the chest, roll the shoulders down and back. Now step your feet to a generous hip distance with your feet in parallel, hands on your hips, drawing the shoulders back. Inhale, lift up out of your waist, and exhale, come forwards into a forward bend. Bend your knees a lot here, as much as you need to make this a comfortable position. You can either bring your hands onto the earth, take hold of the big toes, or bring them round the back of the legs, whichever is more comfortable for you. So as we now hold this inverted position, the blood will start to pool in our chest and heads, just like what happens to astronauts in space. Astronauts look red in the face because more blood stays in the upper extremities without Earth's gravity to pull it down. Gravity will also now be working on the cerebrospinal fluid, a fluid which is found in the brain and spinal cord, cushioning these organs and transporting nutrients and waste. Scientists think that in space this fluid pulls in areas of the brain and around the eyes and pushes against astronauts' eyeballs, affecting eye shape and causing eyesight problems which may be permanent. Which is why you wouldn't want to stay in an inverted posture like this for several weeks. And finally, the mucus in your lungs is also distributed by Earth's gravity. So for astronauts, the mucus moves upwards, causing nasal congestion and sinus pressure, so that they may feel as though they have a cold for the entire trip. So we've been here for quite a while, so we need to come out nice and slow. So bring your fingertips to the floor and bend your knees a lot, bring your gaze forwards. And just take a couple of deep breaths here, really fill your lungs. And then on an exhale, bring your hands to your hips, draw your belly to your spine, and inhale, stand all the way up. So when you stand up after being in a forward bend for some time, you may feel a little bit dizzy or lightheaded. This is because your blood pressure has naturally dropped because your heart hasn't had to work so hard. The same thing happens to astronauts when they return from space. In microgravity, their blood pressure naturally lowers, and this means that they can feel lightheaded or dizzy for several weeks when they come back to Earth. So taking another couple of breaths here, and then when you're ready, step your feet back together and come to mountain pose. Lift the chest, roll the shoulders down and back. So next we're going to take our mat to the wall and do a couple of inverted postures, shoulder stand and legs up the wall. If you're new to yoga or you're not super familiar with shoulder stands, then I recommend that you watch this part of the video first and then replay and follow along with my words, as it's really important that you don't turn your head to look at the video whilst in the posture, as you could hurt your neck. So just bringing the mat with the narrow end to the wall. You're then going to sit your hips all the way close to the wall as you can. Lay that shoulder down and then roll your legs up the wall. So your sitting bones should be really close to the wall here. You can just lift your chest, draw your shoulder blades underneath, and just take a moment here. Feel free to bend your knees if you need to, if you have tight hamstrings. And then we'll come up into shoulder stand, bringing the feet onto the wall. Push the feet into the wall, lift the hips up, and then bring your hands onto the lower back to support your lower back. You can either remain here with the feet on the wall, or you can lift up one leg and the other leg, coming all the way up into shoulder stand. Again, feel free to keep the legs on the wall if you need to, but whichever variation you're in, make sure that you keep your gaze directly upwards. Don't look from side to side. And here, just feel the bodily fluids redistributing as gravity pulls them down to earth. Lengthening the exhale. And then slowly just bring one foot and the other foot back to the wall and roll your spine all the way down. And again, stretch your legs up the wall. Now you can rest your hands on your lower abdomen and close your eyes. Just relax here with the legs up the wall. So in this posture and in the shoulder stand that we just did, we take the body into a full inversion. This means that gravity pulls the blood and other bodily fluids down from the feet towards the upper body and the earth. When astronauts are in space, and this happens for a long time, this is not very good for the body. The body may interpret the extra blood in the head as a sign of too much blood in the system, and then it works to reduce blood volume, and the kidneys work to remove the excess fluid via your urine. After a couple of days in weightlessness, astronauts can lose up to 22% of their blood volume. And after some time, this leads to a weakening and shrinking of the heart muscles. However, here on Earth, where we spend most of our time with our feet on the ground, going upside down for a short period of time, i.e. inverting our relation to Earth's gravity, can really have many benefits. It gives your heart a bit of a rest and stimulates the circulation of blood and lymph fluid. Your body uses lymph for immune system response and waste removal, so going into an inverted posture can really help to stimulate these processes. And this posture with our legs up the wall is a really great position that you can do at any time, as it's a full inversion, but it's also completely passive. So it's great whenever you feel like you need a bit of a rest. So just taking another couple of breaths here, allowing gravity to draw the blood down from the feet. And then slowly just bending your knees in towards your chest. You can roll over onto one side. And then just move your mat away from the wall And come over onto your back so that we can relax in Shavasana. With the feet flat on the floor, just lower yourself down. Lift your hips and lengthen your lower back. Lift your chest and draw your shoulder blades down underneath your heart. Turn your palms to face up and then just slide your legs along the mat and allow the feet to fall out to the side and close your eyes. Bring your awareness down into your toes, feet and ankles, and up through the legs and the hips. Bring the awareness up through the torso, to the shoulders and the arms, the wrists and hands, and then finally into the neck and head. And bring your awareness to your breathing, the gentle movement of the abdomen as you inhale and exhale, allowing your whole body to soften and relax down into the earth. You may notice after all the inversions that we've been doing that you feel particularly relaxed. But the heart rate and the breath are naturally slow, soft. Just allow the body to sink into the floor, enjoying that feeling. And then gradually just start to bring your breath back to a more normal level. Start to bring some movement into the toes and fingers. And when you're ready to move, draw up one leg and then the other leg. And roll over onto one side, using your arms to push yourself back to a seated position. Sit up straight, lift the chest, roll the shoulders down and back. Bring your hands to the center of your heart, close your eyes and bow your chin towards your chest. You can imagine the joy that astronauts must feel when they return to their home planet and get to breathe the fresh air of Earth's atmosphere instead of the recycled air of the space station. Your home. Take a moment just to close the practice, to notice how you feel, and then raise your head and open your eyes. So today we've been doing some inverted postures to explore how our body distributes our bodily fluids with and against gravity. By doing so, we also give our heart a bit of a break, so I hope you're feeling rested and restored. Join us next time for our last space yoga mission, when we will delve into some of the psychological aspects of space travel through a cosmic meditation practice.